know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfare.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag. BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. From baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, the game starts here. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Chief Concerns. I'm Marcus Dash here at Legendary Chiefs, tight end Jason Dunn. JD, how we doing, brother?
Oh, what's up, Marcus? What's happening, brother? Man, look, I'm doing great. Starting to get back into the swing of things and being back home off vacation. It's crazy that you also need rest when you get back home. You rested when you was on vacation.
Yep.
Then you come back, you still need a little bit of rest. But I'm operating, man, getting everything kind of put in order. So yeah, man, beautiful Wednesday night. Talk some Chiefs football. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we got ourselves a fantastic guest coming on here tonight. Our friends over at All Chief Dub, our guy Mike Williams, co-host, is coming on tonight to talk the first week of Chiefs training camp. I mean, it's probably the closest thing you get to as far as like the excitement to the first game of the season, that when the season kicks off, is that first week of training camp, seeing the guys back in action again. And this is probably like second to none as far as getting back into the swing of things of football. So Mike's going to be coming on here shortly to talk all things Chiefs and Chiefs training camp. But seeing some of the regular people in the chat are regulars, Lazy Snake, Bert, Harama Biff, and all the usual suspects in here tonight. So it's gonna be a good one. Action packed, I think.
Word, Lewis Cutbirth, yeah, Kathy, Gary Holland, G Pick. Good to see each and everybody out here. Sweetie, Miss Susan Dunn, the missus. Good to see you in here, babe. Andre Chenault. Let me see who else we got. I think everybody, man, everybody's in here, like you said, all the usual suspects. So good seeing y'all for the night. We're gonna have a good one. Talk about some Chiefs football, what they've been doing in training camp. Talking with Mike. Mike's a good guy to have a good conversation with. And so it's gonna be a good time, man. It's gonna be a good time. I'm actually excited. What's up, Neff? Word. I say to him. I hope my boy Stu's gonna be on his way. So yeah, this is gonna be a good deal. It's gonna be a good deal, man. So.
Gotta say, JD, I don't know what you think about Lacey Snake's idea. We need an episode with Susan and Marcus's marathon girlfriend. You know what? That'd be a comical episode because I see Susan saying that would be comical. I'm not the best at knowing about football. Neither does Laura, so it's perfect. 2 Puerto Ricans and 2 don't know much about the Chiefs or football. So there you go. Boom.
Look, I tell you what, I give her credit because she actually knows a whole lot more than what she lets on to. You know, because she's been listening to me and watching me watch the games.
Right.
And she's getting a lot of it. And so I was actually giving her praises last night. I seen this guy that is used to be a player for me in high school. He seen me in the store. He's like, "Hey, Coach Dunn, what's going on?" So he's telling me about his life and whatnot. And he was talking. I was like, "Man, you still talk ball?" You know. And he had a chance to go play some football up in Canada for a little bit. He was like, "Yeah, my wife don't really like talking about football. When I see her watching the games, I see her just completely like just blank out of it." I was like, "Well, look, my wife has learned over the time. So, babe, I've given you, your flowers on understanding football a little bit. You've been getting a lot of it. So when I know that you get upset about things, I know you see what's going on. Okay, so
There you go.
Yeah."
Yeah, she's with you, and she definitely knows more. She's letting on, I would say. And I would say Laura the same way because she's around me a lot. But I think when it comes to Chiefs football, I think some of the stuff just goes over her head. So but nonetheless, it'd be comical to see them two in here, having them talk about watching us watch games too. I'm sure they have some comedic elements of that as well.
Oh yeah, no, guarantee it. I guarantee it. I don't know if she's ever done, trying to, mimic me watching football. I think she has before. It's been a little funny.
Yeah.
It's always a good time, man. Always a good time.
Always seeing somebody else's angle. I've always been curious about seeing someone else's angle of me watching a game, getting pissed off about like a sack or a false start or something. Just seeing that'd be fantastic to look at. But okay, so we're gonna get into training camp talk. We're bringing our guy Mike Williams from All Chiefed up on. I tell you what, if you guys aren't subscribed, which I'm sure you guys, half our chat or most of our chat is subscribed to these guys, you need to be subscribed to these guys. These guys have amazing content all year long. They're grinders, they're YouTube grinders just like us all year long. Their training camp stuff and content's been great so far. Find some clips that, I might see some of these clips on my time that I see them like pull it out. It's like, oh man, where'd you guys get that? It's pretty good stuff. So we're going to bring on Mike Williams, not the USC Mike Williams. This is the all chiefed up Mike Williams. All right, we're bringing him on right now. What's up, Mike? How you doing, buddy?
What's up? I am the USC Mike Williams.
Oh,
my career was cut short. I was a bit of a bust.
We got you in the flesh. In the flesh,
Yeah.
man. We give that title to you, brother. Yeah, how's it going, man? You doing all right?
I'm doing good. How you guys?
Man, hey, look, man, we living the dream, brother. Look, we talking football. We talking Chiefs football. It's always a good time anytime we do that, right?
Now that camp's back, man. Now that camp's back.
Yeah.
The horned up level's on like 11, Marcus. That's what's going on, man. Like, I'm so tired of talking about like what could they do, and now we're getting to watch it,
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's seeing some of these storylines come to fruition before our eyes. Obviously, the Hollywood Mahomes connection. We've been seeing, teases of that all year, all off season long, as far as them like throwing in Texas together. But now we're actually seeing it in gameplay, and it's looking like a beautiful thing already. Although I am kind of skeptical. I saw the Vegas over/under lines for Hollywood Brown, and they have that 750 yards, which kind of I don't really like that number. But maybe it's because they don't know what's going to happen with the Rashee Rice situation, and just there's a lot of guys also too with our team, so maybe they just don't know how to place that. But 750 kind of throws me off a little wrong way there.
It feels low.
Very
feels
low.
I'm just gonna be honest. Feels low.
Kelsey's 950. I believe Xavier. This is one that's interesting. While Hollywood Brown seems low, they have Xavier Worthy like 700, and that seems high.
That's wild. Yeah, that's a little high.
Yeah,
they don't pay attention to Andy Reid rookies, right? Like, I think Rashee Rice like kicked the trend, but I think it takes more than one season to buck a trend, right? So if Xavier Worthy does it, and then the next season if they draft a wide receiver early, I'll give it to him. But for now, no, I don't think so.
Yeah. I think it's going to go more along the ways of the way Skyy Moore's rookie season went. No, I'm just kidding. I hope not.
Actually, better than his second season. So
that's true. That's true.
What are you going to do?
Yeah,
actually downgraded,
We're about to get into that guy right now. So Skyy Moore, obviously talk of the town right now, not in the most positive ways. And I hate to be negative Nancy here, but we got to talk. We got to talk about it. We got to talk about Skyy Moore. So obviously we talk about the receiver room as one of the biggest battles that we're going to be seeing this camp as far as position wise. There's a lot of talent there, but one guy in particular is getting buzzed, and that's Skyy Moore, but not in a good way. Skyy Moore has, based on the footage we've seen from training camp so far, he's a lot of footage on him, and they're mostly drops. And one particular one was, I think the other day, Patrick Mahomes' 100% completion rate on a drive. And then Skyy Moore was the lone drop on that drive there. Obviously, one drop doesn't define a whole guy's career and, his training camp, and not even pads on yet. But that's all everyone's talking about right now. And he's potentially a guy who could be on the chopping block. So, obviously, still early in this whole thing. But in your opinion, is it more likely Skyy Moore makes the team or gets cut based on what we're seeing from the entirety of the wide receiver room and based on what we're seeing from him so far in training camp?
You talking to me?
Either one of you, who wants to go first?
JD, take it, man.
Yeah, I've told you about Skyy Moore, okay? And sometimes it takes time for a guy to develop, playing at a smaller school. Skyy Moore, once he's come here, obviously he's going to have pressure on himself, right? And so if you don't get to do what you feel like you can do out there on the football field, you're going to lose some confidence. And I think right now what he's trying to do is he's trying to press. And he's thinking about every little thing that he's doing is he's going to get wrong. I know this, like any player could tell you, if you just having a rough time, okay, and you're dealing with injuries, or you're dealing with, maybe drops or just you can't get right. It's what we used to call guys sometimes in camp. It's like you just can't get right. A lot of it has to do with just the mental part of it. That's a lot of it. And so that's the pressure that he's dealing with at this moment. So one drop or two drops is going to be amplified, right? And so, of course, Melly Matrix, time for him to go. Sorry, JD. Well, shoot, we don't know that. Shoot, we know Skyy Moore is a draft pick, so he's going to have a little longer leash. So let's just say all of a sudden preseason, he blows it up. Say he catches everything thrown to him. He starts making some good plays. I don't think you get rid of a guy in the first week of camp. To me, that's just silly, even to just have that conversation. So we're going to give him some time. We know he's one of the fringe guys. We understand that. This by no means says he's gone, okay? And when I'm looking at this wide receiver room, I'm still saying the only ones I know for a fact that's not going to get cut, Rasheed Rice, Xavier Worthy, and Hollywood Brown. Okay? That's the three I know is not going anywhere. Other than that, everything is still up in arms. Now, I think McCole Hardman has a chance, good shot of getting there. Kadarius Toney, because they found him using his versatility, right? In the backfield, doing some things to make him a little bit more happier, help with his confidence. I think he's going to be able to stick. The other guys we talked about, Remigio, and then possibly, we look at, Justin Ross, all these other guys, right? Justin Watson, these other names that you're sitting there over here are all still fringe guys. So other than that, man, look, Skyy Moore is going to have a rough day at camp. He might have a rough week. My thing is the Chiefs still know that they have something in Skyy Moore, okay? They still know that. And so it still remains to be seen. He hadn't had a good week. That's just how it goes.
Look, I think you hit the nail on the head. He's pressing. We seen it last year with Kadarius Toney come out and had injuries through all of camp. They rushed him in really quick against Detroit, probably because they had to, because Kelsey missed the game. They didn't have the big option for Mahomes. They brought back Kadarius Toney, and he made a few mistakes. He let a ball go off his hands, pick six, and then from then on, he just pressed. And then when he felt like it was getting right, toe over the line. He didn't cut his toenail that day. So they decided they're going to throw the flag when they hadn't thrown the flag all year for multiple people doing that. And there was a game the next night somebody did it and they didn't do it the same way they did Juwan Taylor all year as well. So a lot of that. Now, here's what I'll say about Skyy Moore. Everybody in Chiefs Kingdom is done with him. I think if you polled him right now, there's 98% that say cut him now. And I think it's really weird. But it's become a win-now league. And when we keep win, and we're stacking these championships and we're stacking these AFC West titles, these people just want excellence and they want, help me now, what have you done for me lately? And I just don't think they're wanting to give him any more time. JD, we played football. We've been there, not at the level you've been, but I've been there. It takes time to develop. And like you said, coming out of a Western Michigan, his size is a little bit. I actually think he got down in the draft process to run a 4.4. I actually think he trained to run that 4.4, which they all do, but I don't think he honestly runs a 4.4. When you watch him on film, he don't seem to be that shifty, although in college he led the country in missed tackles forced. So it's kind of weird, but if you look at his RAS score, his shuttle, all those, backs up that claim. I don't think Skyy Moore's been used properly. I'll go to the grave and I'll die on this hill. He is a slot receiver in this league. He is not to be used outside. Mm-hmm. If you look back at his first season, his rookie season, he actually scored at a PFF grade. And look, a lot of people say PFF sucks. Cool, but that's one measurement. And one measurement on PFF, when he was a rookie, it wasn't great. He didn't burn down the world, but a 70 compared to last season, a 55. And in his rookie year, he did a 50-50 split from slot to out wide. And last year, it was not a 50-50 split. It was bad. Did you know it was only 5 games all of last year where Andy Reid had him in the slot over 40% of the time? And in all 5 of those games, he had his most receptions, he had his most yards from scrimmage, he had his only touchdown of the season, and he had his highest PFF grades playing out of the slot. So I think it's a failure by the coaching staff trying to get these guys on the field at any cost rather than getting them on the field at the proper position.
So my rebuttal to that, I do agree with you. I think we have been misusing him, no doubt about it. And I've said that several times before on this mic that, he is a slot guy. We know that's where he's been able to do damage. Now, to the point you were making, you don't think he's a 4-4 guy, but everything else around him, the evidence shows that he is, right? If you're able to make guys miss and you do have some shiftiness, I don't think nobody would combat that he has a 4-4 speed. I don't think so. Not at all. I think he still has, a relatively good speed. The question goes to me is this, okay? Other 98% of the people that don't like Skyy Moore, don't want to be on the team, thank God they're not making the decisions on who's staying on the Chiefs and who's not.
Right.
I mean, let's just be honest here. Because if we're doing it with everybody is emotional-wise, like who should stay, who should not stay, be a lot of people gone. Believe
Spags
me.
would have been gone last year. They were trying to get rid of Spags.
Right. Thank God these people are not making the decisions, right? So the thing is, Andy and those guys understand it. It does take patience. It does take sometimes them figuring out how to utilize a guy. Last year, to me, was an anomaly. Okay. I think just for a whole wide receiver position in itself. Okay. They just didn't have a good wide receiver room. Nobody performed well last year other than Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice was our slot guy. Now we're going to start utilizing Rashee Rice, as we've seen in camp, toward the outside, which I said he should be utilized, stretching the field, doing some different things than what he was able to do last year. And so we've seen the same thing with Rashee Rice. What Rashee Rice, all we're doing is throwing wide receiver screens. That's the majority of the thing he's catching is under 5 yards and getting, yak yards. That's what he was doing. My thing is, if we decide to utilize, let's say, Skyy Moore into those positions, right? And I said sometimes these guys, because of their size, are redundant. Where does he fit into these things? Okay. So I do believe, you got Hollywood Brown, they can play slot. You got McCole Hardman could play slot. Xavier Worthy should be able to play outside. Rashee Rice should be able to play outside. We got bigger receivers that can play outside. Skyy Moore, where we could utilize him at. We're starting to figure out Kadarius Toney, same thing with him, right? Put him in the backfield, line him up in some different things. What I love about this staff is you could take a guy like Skyy Moore, okay, who has been, really pressing, lost some confidence, start putting him in some positions to make some plays, okay? Because as a coach, there's certain guys you need. Some guys you just need to bring about, okay? Skyy Moore, regardless of what people look at, he's helped us win games before, okay? And he's helped, drop some passes. Well, that was going around like the flu last year on the wide receiver. So my thing is that's why I always fight sometimes for Skyy Moore, because I understand the process in itself that you don't get down on guys, especially if a guy's he's a second round pick for you. Well, there's a reason you took him in that round. Okay. Now the thing is, this room's starting to look a little crowded. Okay. You don't necessarily have the woes that you did last year. Now you actually got some legit guys. You got 3 legit guys, 4 or 5 now. Okay, just kind of, rearing his head, which is a great thing. That's a great thing to have. So we'll just have to see, man. I'm one of those that it is, as far as the evaluation of a coach, you want to give him every opportunity not to make it. Okay, and sometimes guys cut themselves, and so sometimes the coach might have to put their arm around Skyy, like, hey, man, look, you just trying too hard. You are trying too hard. I've had this conversation several times. I've seen coaches have conversations several times with guys. I've had a conversation just with coaches about other guys doing things like that. And so it is about perseverance. We understand as far as, the fans and nothing against fans, but hey, thank God they're not necessarily making the decisions.
Can I say one more thing, Marcus?
Go for it.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, from year one to year one with Skyy Moore, like I said, year one, Skyy Moore, he rated a 70 across the board PFF. Not the best season ever, but a good one. We actually thought coming into season 2 he was going to turn it around a little bit and it was going to be a step up. And I went back and I wanted to see the disconnect because, again, I still think 90% of Chiefs Kingdom want him gone, and I'd say 90% is probably low at this point. I went back and I watched some film the other day, and I actually had it on live. I went back and watched Detroit because I said, look, he hadn't dropped any balls. And by the way, he gets knocked for drops. 1 drop per PFF is all he had last year. It was the touchdown against Denver in the end zone. That's all they credited him with, was 1 drop. He doesn't drop. You know where he got that stigma from? Dave Tobe forced him to be a punt returner, which he never was in his rookie season. That destroyed his confidence, but he still persevered. He didn't throw anybody under the bus, kind of like Kadarius Toney was doing there for a little bit. And guess what? He come out and he made a big play against the Bengals, got us into the Super Bowl, right? In his rookie season. So I think Skyy Moore is a tough-minded mental person. Brett Veach has even said that before the season started. But I went back and looked at some film, and in the first game against Detroit, did you know there was in the first 2 to 3 drives, the Chiefs had him on the first read. I want to say about 5 plays, he was first read. And Patrick Mahomes watched him and did not pull the trigger on him. He was watching him, and he had a 20-yard window, and he chose to duck underneath Aiden Hutchinson and flip it up over the top of him, and then he overthrew him, went off his fingertips, right? Then everybody blamed Skyy Moore for not being 6'7". Like, there was tons of that. And I went back and watched it, and his best 3 games was week 1, week 2, and week 3. And why? He was at 48% slot in week 1, 49% slot in week 2, and 42% slot in week 3. And by the way, good game. And then what did Andy do? 80% wide for about 6 straight weeks, and he didn't reappear to Miami in week 9. 42% slot, and that was his best game. So, again, I think it's where he's used. And to your point, Marcus, they're trying to find something to do with – or not Marcus, JD, my bad. Yeah. They're trying to find something to do with Kadarius Toney. So they're giving him the ball in the backfield. They were doing the same stuff with Skyy Moore when he was drafted. His rookie camp, he was taking balls out of the backfield. And week 1 last year against Detroit, I want to say it was in the first drive, maybe the second drive, he took a jet sweep right off the left side. Rashee Rice was blocking his ass off. Richie James was blocking his ass off. And guess what? Donovan Smith, the lead blocker pulling, had to hit a safety and didn't even put his finger on him. And Skyy Moore could have took it to pay dirt, 60 yards, and instead he dropped him behind the line of scrimmage because somebody else missed the block, and then Skyy Moore said, Skyy Moore can't make plays. Well, this is a totally different league coming to Kansas City and playing for the Super Bowl champs than it was playing at Western Michigan. And people's got to figure that out, and they've got to give him a little bit of leeway. And to your point, he's a product of being overdrafted. Do I think he was a second-round pick? Probably not. But look, I think out of that same draft, there's not been that many good second-round picks. Alec Pierce went right after him or right before him. Tyquan Thornton went in that round. They're not doing nothing. People wanted George Pickens. And because we didn't get George Pickens and he's blowing it up in Pittsburgh, Skyy Moore by default sucks. And that's the way it is, and it's always going to be like that. And by the way, put George Pickens on this roster, and he may or may not be doing what he's doing in Pittsburgh because we don't utilize those kinds of wide receivers. That's why we don't draft them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but if you're sitting there saying that, but he's almost, he's to his own success, he's a victim to it. So the thing is, man, he put up numbers in college. There's no denying that. he was a baller. I mean, look, we can look at film all day and see that Skyy Moore was productive in college, one of the most productive receivers. So, yeah, he was a second-round pick. I don't think they got it wrong. I think, to your point, they haven't been utilizing him like they should. Like you said, you just went in with the same point. First game, second, and third game. Look, I watched all last year, Skyy Moore run routes. And times Patrick just didn't throw it to him. He didn't even see him.
Tons. I found 5 instances in one game. Detroit.
Yes. Yeah. So look, as an evaluator, when I'm watching film, I'm sitting there like, oh, this joker's open. He's open.
That's another stigma too. Have you heard the Skyy Moore can't get open thing?
Yeah. Yes. Right.
Did you know, according to Player Profiler, who goes through and does all this, against man-to-man, he is 2.45 yards open on every play man-to-man. And against zone, he's at 2.65. That is a 6 to 7 foot throwing window, and Patrick Mahomes isn't looking there, and he's not throwing it. So why? It could be because he's not the number 1 read. I get it. But at the same time, you can't always say Skyy Moore can't get open just because he's not getting the ball. There's other factors that go there.
Absolutely. So, look, Pono, Kawhi, my thing is this, okay? And this is coming from a guy who's played at a smaller college, okay? I always going to stand on the table for guys that have ability. And I heard somebody say this today, like, look, he might need just a change of scenery, okay? He might just need that. And so, like you said, everybody wants people to win right now. Right now. It's a process. It takes time. When a guy gets injured, okay, now he's behind the 8 ball, then he's trying to get his confidence back. It's going to throw him in a loop. And look, he can have confidence. And I'm telling you something, okay, like everybody knows. People can walk around with their chest sticking out, but what's underneath is a whole different thing. When you're living inside your head, okay, when the ball coming to you, you might be rattled like, oh, shoot, I done dropped 2 balls. And you're trying to have a conversation with yourself like, okay, one snap and clear and come back. But like everybody else has been watching it. And sometimes with these young guys, they're getting on social media and they're hearing everybody get rid of him. He's a bum, this and that and all that. I think that's the worst thing he could possibly do is stay away from that. Stay close to his coaches, stay close to his guys, give him some confidence, and those things like that, man, it may change around. So, yeah, but maybe Mahomes doesn't trust him, doesn't look for him. That could be it. But also, too, look, I don't mind saying it. There was times that Pat didn't play his best last year. Just wasn't, okay? And I don't think he trusted a lot of the wide receivers in the room. And a lot of it wasn't just on the same page. So a lot of it had to do with the process, too, okay? There's a lot that's there that we could talk about. But, sometimes when a guy is looking for a guy to be this and that, and he hadn't quite established that, Patrick could get a little shaky sometimes too in the pocket. So, he's not without criticism.
No. Look, Pat, nobody wants to speak negatively of Pat. Love Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Build a statue. Name the whole freaking city after him. I don't care. I'll petition the state of Kentucky to be named after him. I don't care. He's not even visited. No, I take that back. He came to the Derby a few years ago. But look, I think Pat had games last year where, like you said, he didn't trust himself. He had that game where he was sick. He played like complete ass. There were just several times where he didn't look good. Against the Jets, he didn't look good that game. Good Lord, Zach Wilson outplayed him. They were talking about Zach Wilson was the best player in the country that week, not him. Crazy. There were times, and you could say, yes, it was scheme and the wide receivers and the trust, but that's why I wanted to go back to week 1. If he's not throwing to Skyy Moore in week 1, where did he lose the trust? Was it in camp? If he lost trust in camp, why did he make the team? If he lost trust in his rookie season, why was his rookie season not that bad? Matter of fact, he only got targeted 30 times in his rookie season. And he didn't have any drops his rookie season. Again, I think he's only had 2 drops his whole time in KC, but again, he gets the drop stigma. I don't know. It's just a what have you done for me? And it's like, I don't know how Skyy's ever digging out of this hole, because in Kansas City, you do not have volume targeting, and he is never going to get more than 40 to 50 to 60 targets, and that's going to be insane if he was to throw 60 targets with this team. Right, so what is he going to be? He's going to be a 5th, 6th bubble guy. He's never going to get on the field. He's never going to make an impact. You may as well cut him. Okay, just appease the fans. I don't know what else you're supposed to do here, because otherwise I don't get it. To your point, I think there was 3 locks you claimed. I actually thought Justin Watson was close to being a lock. That injury today, let's hope that's not serious for him, because I kind of thought he was close to that 4 or 5. And then after that, it was going to be Mecole Hardman, blah, blah, blah. And I still feel like Justin Ross might be the guy out looking in. Nico Remigio is looking good. And he had the camp buzz last year, and he's looking good. And when Justin Watson went down today, they turned to Nico, and Nico made plays. And that would have been a good sign for Skyy. Let's turn to Skyy. Skyy makes some plays. They went to the UDFA, and they went to Nico Remigio, who missed a season with injury, and that's where they went. And by the way, Pat was throwing to him. So, again, it's just practice, and it's passing camp, basically. Like, the defense is a big-time, they're not doing much. But I don't know, man. I just don't think he's ever going to be able to win over Chiefs Kingdom. That's kind of my point. What would he have to do this year, in your opinion? Well, 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards.
Look, to be honest with you, it's not about winning over Chiefs Kingdom. It's about what Andy and those guys inside the building think.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And I want to say this and be very clear about this. We can have an opinion all day about what we think about Skyy Moore or any other guy out there on the football field. But if Andy and those guys are trustworthy of him, if they feel like he can do something with the team, he will be there. Same thing with Kadarius Toney. They figured it out with Kadarius Toney. So guys wanted him to go on last year. And he's a worst ever. And he's got a bad attitude, all those different things. This is Andy's forte. He works with guys. He knows how to get the best out of guys who are struggling. Okay? That's his superpower. So if I'm sitting over here and the whole kingdom and everybody's behind you, and believe me, those guys inside the locker room, okay, heard all last year what Chiefs. When Patrick was sitting there saying it wasn't fun for him, he wasn't just talking about the things that was happening out on the field. It was also all the things he was hearing in the media, okay, and from Chiefs Kingdom. All right? A little bitter about those things. And so from a player standpoint, man, when somebody's talking about your guys That hurts. Okay. And then sometimes you start making it like, look, man, we understand these people ain't going to have our backs. Okay. We got the worst wide receiver room in the league. They done said that already. Okay. We're not the same offense we were 2 years ago, like carrying the team. We've heard that already. So sometimes you got to use that as fuel, okay, to get the guys going. And we started seeing toward the end of the season, and I kept saying this is, look, guys will start coming up big, things start happening, we start seeing it. Nobody wanted McCole Hardman back. McCole Hardman, he was the first one I said, we should get a guy like McCole Hardman back. Why? Because he understands the offense. They understand him. He's home. But when we needed for him to come up, he came up when he was able to come up. Look, the temperament that people's going to have as fans is always going to be that. And sometimes you got to take praise and criticism with a grain of salt. Somebody asked me at this past weekend, like, one of the things that you learn from the NFL? I said, you got to take praise and criticism the same, okay? Taking it with a grain of salt. Because you get off kilter when people are talking about you, you're not going to be the same. So I don't know if Skyy's going to make it or not. My thing is, it's just one of those things on wait and see. Any of those will make that decision. Right. You know what I mean? We won't.
Hey, I see the chat. Some guy said 0 drops would win him over. He had 1 last year. He had 1 in his first season. He's had 2 the entire time he's been in KC. So without those 2 drops, he's a star. I don't know. I think that there's just a bad misconception about Skyy, to be honest. And I think like a lot of it, I think went back to all those punt return botches with Dave Tobe, and I don't really understand why they forced that on him, to be honest. To me, that killed him right off the rip, like his psyche as a rookie. It didn't make a lot of sense. Like, it may have made him mentally tough. What don't kill you makes you stronger. Maybe now he's going to get through this because of that. Who knows? I still think he's on the bubble. And again, because I'm not a Skyy Moore hater, I'm a Skyy Moore sympathizer. Chiefs Kingdom thinks I'm a Skyy Moore lover. No, I'm a lover of all things Kansas City. And until he takes that red jersey off, I'm going to support the dude, and I hope he does the best.
My man.
100%. Yeah, and I also think a lot that plays with this, like the group think with Chiefs Kingdom, is when you have 1 million people posting these videos from training camp of Skyy Moore dropping a pass in training camp. JD, you guys are getting throwing balls to receivers all practice long. There's going to be drops. There's going to be drops during team periods. There's going to be drops during passing games. There's going to be drops all the time. But the fact there's so many cameras out there, everyone's seeing this, like, oh, man, like a bunch of different angles of the same drop. Everyone thinks the guy's dropping 1 million passes. You know, you have a bunch of fans in there with phones. It's going to look like that. And then, and then there's videos also of Skyy Moore not being able to get off to break the defender away from his route. And there was plenty of videos of that. And to go to Mike's point, everyone's saying, "Yep, same Skyy Moore, different season. Still can't get off a jam."
I've seen that. Was that the one where he was on the left side of the formation and he ended up going to Kelsey across the middle, right?
Yeah, that was one of them. Yeah.
Who was defending him? I couldn't make it out in the.
I couldn't get it.
I would assume that was the first team. Okay, Kelsey and Mahomes on the field. So I'd assume the first team defense is out there. So who was that? Josh Williams or Trent McDuffie? Both nice corners, big corners. Another reason Skyy needs to be coming out of the slot, by the way. Like, why are we putting down our corners? Maybe our corner just made a good play. And by the way, it looked like he held him a little bit. Probably would have got thrown.
Right.
Probably a little 5-yard flag there. But look, just another reason why he needs to be coming out of the slot. I think Skyy does better in short spaces. I think he's more quick than fast. In my opinion, and I think he needs to be matched up on linebackers, nickel corners, and maybe a defensive end gets matched up on him every once in a while, and he goes ham. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Our player conference was Golden Tate was what we called him coming out of college. Golden Tate was primarily a slot receiver, and that was that we thought we had that in him, but
slot guy, 5 windows. And the thing is, there's much more to the offense than just catching passes. Okay. The thing is, you can be short on your routes. You cannot understand exactly what it is that you're doing. Sometimes patching those guys can make you look right. So, no, we'll just have to see. I can't believe we just talked about Skyy Moore for.
Dude, it happens. When you talk about Skyy Moore, you hit like a time portal. And we'll do it all the time, man. And I don't get it. I don't even want to talk about Skyy Moore ever again.
But I'm with you, man. I'm here for everything until that changes and Andy knows make a decision about Skyy. My thing is, I understand the process. It does take some time. They will have some patience with it. And sometimes they can see some things in Skyy, maybe running routes and all those different things that we don't see. Okay. The conversations too. So,
yeah. we'll see how the reps are distributed during preseason, especially if, Remigio's getting a lot of reps today when Watson went down. And like Mike said, it wasn't going to Skyy, so they're seeing something that we aren't seeing. There's more to it than just the couple of cell phone videos that are going out during camp. There's more. They're seeing a lot more than we are.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing about camp, man. It's about competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna see it all over camp for guys who's first here, who's second team there. You could go left tackle, you could talk to a corner, we could talk about that all over the place. So it's part of camp.
There's a lot more too than just catching the ball in the production side of it. I wish we had some cameras in the film room. Wish we had some cameras in the weight room. Let's see how hard he hits it there. Let's see how good of a person he is. Yeah. Let's see him make blocks down the field. Skyy's a pretty good run blocker.
Yes, he is. Yes,
he's pretty good at setting up his routes and getting in the way of other guys when he's running like those rub routes. He does a lot of things, and he sees it. Brett Veach sees it. That's why he's on the team. That's why they kept Clyde last year when everybody's wanting him to go. And guess what? Clyde had a decent season because he was a little healthier than he was. But if everybody would have called that out, he was gone. Jason, me and you, I remember me and you on X talking about everybody crying about the guy chipping at right tackle. Remember that?
Yeah.
Talking about how he always had to be chipped. And I said, that's just the design, my guy. Like everybody does it.
Everybody does it.
Yeah. It's an offense. It's not a personal problem.
Appreciate you, John, with the contribution there, brother. All right, so you guys mentioned the different position battles, so that we're going to go to another avenue here. We're going to go to the other side of the ball. We're going to go to the defensive back battle, which today we had some scary news there for a second. I was scared for a little bit. Nazeeh Johnson, who obviously was out last year during training camp with a torn ACL. He had to go to the medical tent, right knee injury, we thought, but apparently it was precautionary. So thankfully, that's there's no serious injury there on that side of the ball. But the number 2 cornerback spot is up for grabs right now, according to Steve Spagnuolo. So obviously last year we had L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie, probably the best cornerback duo in the NFL last year. But now we got Jaylen Watson, Joshua Williams, and Nazeeh Johnson competing for that number 2 spot. And right now, Jaylen Watson's out, PUP, with the torn labrum surgery that he had this offseason. And it's pretty much been Joshua Williams and Nazeeh Johnson vying for that number 2 cornerback spot as of right now. And then this week, when Spags was asked about the number 2 cornerback spot being if that was Josh Williams' role right now, if he's the lead dog in that battle, Spags had a few things to say about that. So here's Spags on the number 2 cornerback spot.
It's pretty open, so you got fighting for that. You got Josh, you got Jaylen, you got NJ. NJ, he would have had an interception today. To your point, he was set to make it, but he's been coming on. He was injured last year, but I think it's wide open, and I think all 3 of those guys know that.
And NJ, of course, is Nazeeh Johnson. That's who Spags is referring to there. But right now, guys, obviously we love, JD and I always talk about the DB room being the best in the league, the youngest and probably the best in the league. But right now, how are you guys feeling about the number 2 spot right now? Where do you think that's going to go? Do you think Josh Williams has the upper hand right here? Because he's been the one who's been the main guy opposite Trent McDuffie so far throughout training camp, even though Spags is saying it's an pretty much open competition for that number 2 spot. Who do you think has the kind of the head up on the number 2 spot right now between those 3 guys?
Go ahead, Mike. I'll let you start it off.
Okay. Honestly, me and Steve both, all chiefed up, we think it's Josh Williams. I think Josh Williams is the next guy, in my opinion, with the physical traits, the length, the mindset, everything about it. And this is not taking nothing away from Jaylen Watson. It's taking nothing away from Nazeeh Johnson, who, by the way, played safety, is now converted down the corner a little bit. So I think he's at a little bit of a disadvantage. He come off the knee injury. I think Jaylen, he's dealing with some injuries. And look, Jaylen had that big splash play against the Chargers, and Justin Herbert pick 6 in them that time. So everybody kind of liked that. And then he stepped into the row a little bit. But I think Josh Williams is it, man. I think he scored a 73 on PFF last year, which was a really high number. Again, I think Jaylen was right behind him at like a 66 maybe. Like, don't quote me on that, but I think it was right there. I think they do a lot of good things. I do know that Jaylen Watson allowed a 110 passer rating, and Josh Williams wasn't even close to that. He was more close to like 79 passer rating. So I think Josh Williams is a little more shut down. I think his size, I think he's a little more imposing. I like his ball skills. Everything about him, I kind of like Josh Williams a little more. And that was all coming out of a very small college as well. So it was a big culture shock for him. In the same way we, dare I say, Skyy Moore's name again, the way we talked about him translating over, Josh Williams had to do that plus some probably. And I think he's done a really good job. Corner is a very hard position to translate from college to the NFL with. People don't really understand that, but I think corner may be one of the hardest ones. And there's just something about it. But I think Josh Williams is the guy. That's who I would go with. And I think Jaylen and Nazeeh, I think all four of them are they're probably locks to be on the team. I'd say that's your front four. And I honestly don't know if they're going to take 5 or 6 corners. I think if they do, Kelvin Joseph has made a push right now, but they also drafted Kamal Hadden. You got plenty of talent back there. Nick Jones they drafted last year, by the way. That's another NJ. That could be NJ too. So, they've got a lot. And they got that new kid, DJ Miller. He just come in and made a pick today. Like, that kid can play as a UDFA. We're 7 or 8 deep, and we were deep last year too, if you don't remember. Khalif Hallisey, we both liked him. I thought he'd done enough to make the team. He gets cut, goes to Cleveland. He's their CB2. So it's like we cut Cleveland's CB2 last year. That may be a little premature, but that just shows you how deep we are. We got rid of Snead. Why? We're deep. Brett Veach is built for this. It's cheaper. This is why we had to do it. But I think it's Josh Williams' job to lose, JD.
We're actually getting a source here, prime source. This is Nazeeh Johnson's mother. She's saying he's all good. Let's go. So
there we go.
Nazeeh's
I love Nazeeh, man.
He's all good, baby.
I hope him the best. I really do think that kid could be a player in this league. I really do. And we were talking about it a little bit, Marcus, before we come on. Mental side. And even today, maybe it was something a little mentally with it, like maybe he felt something weird or just whatever. Dude, we've all had some medical scares, and boy, it'll get you that medical anxiety really quick. And you think the world's ending every 5 minutes. So hopefully he's not going to get there, but I do think the mental aspect, it's tougher to get over that hump sometimes than the physical.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, shout out to Keisha Brown being on here, saying what's up. Good to see you. But I tell you what, scary for Nazeeh, and you hate to see it for a guy who's just coming off an injury, coming back, who's trying so hard to get back and make sure that he is healthy and to compete. And so when we had him on the show, man, you could see it in his heart, in his mind, in his passion, the way he spoke, that he was looking to try to take that position. And that's what you had to have. You had to have full confidence in yourself and your abilities. I would even say that Nazeeh probably, more than the other two, is more fundamentally sound in the things that he does. He has really quiet feet. He's not as opposing maybe as Josh Williams is, but he's a muscle, and he's one of those guys who has that high IQ. He knows where to be on the field, which is a great thing. That's what you need as far as with Spags understanding, of getting Nazeeh back. So when you have these battles of 3 guys, which is a great thing to have, I think right now Joshua has a nod because of he has more of a playing experience than everybody else. Jaylen Watson, he's out. He's going to be behind the 8 ball because he is hurt. And so because Josh is a taller, cornerback, he kind of looks a little bit like Snead somewhat. And he's been able to go out there and compete against the highest level guys out there, right? Chase and all those guys, the Buffalo's guys out there, Diggs and whatnot. So he has a lot of experience. So I think that Joshua right now has that nod. But the good thing is about this, and I think what people fail to understand is guys can be interchangeable. Spags, we've seen it all the time in the past couple of years. He can move guys in and out. So if somebody's nicked up, let's put him in. We're not going to lose any sleep putting another guy in. And so that's why when you're talking about the depth of the cornerbacks, okay, on this team, we have the best secondary in the league. There's no doubt about it to me. We have the best depth. We have the best guys. I mean, when we're sitting over here talking about who's the number 2, to me, I think they're all number 2. I don't think you even name it like, well, who's the second guy? Well, shoot, all 3 of those guys could be the second guy, okay? You don't lose any sleep with anybody coming in and coming into play. So that's one thing that you got to realize. I know our philosophy as far as defensively is to be physical up there as a corner, okay? Because you got to be the cover one guy. You got to make sure that you're pressing guys at the line of scrimmage. You got to be in they tail the whole time, down the field, get your head turned around. That's what it's all about. And so when you look at these guys, all 3 of those guys can do that. We know that. All 3 of them can. So we look for a speedy recovery, as far as for Nazeeh. I know she said he's good. They're going to look at it. We're going to see how he is. They might bring him back a little bit just to make sure that there's nothing glaring or something like, hey, man, like you got to make sure you're good, right? We bring you back slowly. We ain't playing, the game tomorrow, okay? So Nazeeh, who had been hurt, let's get him healthy again. Let him get back into where he was before. I don't think Spags put him down on the depth chart because you are hurt. You're just not going to lose your place because of it. Like I said, he's probably the most fundamentally sound out of all three of the guys. Okay, so to me, Josh leads the head, if you will, out of all three of the guys, just because he has had the experience out there on the field more than everybody else. And so at this moment, man, it's a good situation to have. My thing is Nazeeh and Jaylen, all those guys are right there with him. I don't think that you lose out at all. I think the only guy that when you're sitting there thinking about a number one, obviously it's got to be the guy on the other side, right? So what we talking about. So yeah, Keisha, it's got to be one day at a time, no doubt about it. So look, hope he's healthy. We pray that he's healthy. He's going to get back with nothing else going on, man, because we need him out there. We need him out there.
We do. Hey, day off tomorrow though. He could have picked a better day. He gets to sit around, play some NCAA 25. Okay, make him something nice to eat. Get this guy getting ready to put the pads on, baby. That's what we want. But yeah, another thing about Nazeeh too, I think everybody kind of forgets. When he come out of Marshall, that dude runs a 4.38. He come out and tested at a 10-yard split of a 1.52. And if you put that in comparison to what some of the best corners that got drafted this season out of these big schools, Quinion Mitchell, Toledo, Terrion Arnold, Alabama, 1.52 is faster than Terrion Arnold. And this dude was playing a safety. Yep. He's faster than Ennis Rakestraw. He was faster than Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins had like a 1.59 10-yard split. So this dude can straight up move his feet. He's fluid in the hips. And like JD said, he's got really good technical. He's sound technically. Like he really is. For me, though, I just think the size, the imposing. If Spags wants to get in there and he wants to beat somebody to death like the Jerry Sneed, that's where Josh Williams has the heads up. Josh Williams can track the ball. He gets his head around, looks at the ball very well. But I think they all do. To JD's point, I don't think anybody is a downgrade. This room is deep. I think there's 7 to 8 guys that have a shot and a legitimate gripe to say, hey, we're the top 5 here. Put me on the team. But there's going to be some good guys go to the practice squad and some good guys get cut. And that's just the reality when you give Patrick Mahomes the best all-around roster he's had since he's been in football. And by the way, about to pick up that three-peat.
You know what's good about that at 4.3 speed? Because you can't coach him. That's one guy that can catch up every time you throw the ball, man. And look, that's what Nazeeh does. He's right there in your hip each and every time, right? Like you said, Josh Williams, he had to learn, right? And I love because you threw him out there early. Spags threw him out there to the fire early, okay? When everybody was like, oh, no, what is Spags doing? And why? There's a reason to his madness. Believe me, there's a method to his madness, what he's thinking, okay? Get a guy ready, get him prepared for game time when they need him in big games, okay? And I said that the first time when he got beat by Diggs, he had good technique. He was in the hip. He just didn't get the head around. That was it. Everything has to come together, right? So when you start that, you start coaching it, hey, that's what you want to be able to see. And so like we're talking about the progress of guys, on the other side of the ball, same thing with the corners. So when you have all those things locked down, man, that's exactly what it has to be. It has to be that as well. So the discipline that these guys show, what Spags asked for them, that's going to be key. And so that's what I'm looking for, man, from the secondary, man. Like you said, nobody's a downgrade at all. Nobody.
And last year when Nazeeh did get hurt in training camp, Nazeeh was running with the ones. So, it's not a surprise that he's, rotating in at the number two spot. But yeah, and like Nazeeh said, when we talked to him over the summer, when he said that, talk about replacing L'Jarius Sneed, everyone's bringing a little bit something new to the table that L'Jarius Sneed didn't, right? And L'Jarius is good things that some of the other guys aren't, but everyone's kind of got their own little sprinkle and their own little juice and sauce to bring into the table this time around. Josh brings something, Nazeeh brings something a little different. Everyone's got a little something different, and that's what makes this DB room so great. We're good at a lot of different things, and they all bring something to the table. So I think, number 2 is in the guy lined up against opposite Trent McDuffie, but really it's not really the number 2. It's just the guy on the opposite side. And they're going to play those guys a lot together as well. So it's not like,
Yeah, didn't Spags say that they maybe or may not shadow the number one wide receiver like they did with L'Jarius Sneed? They didn't always do that with Sneed.
Yeah.
They started probably, I want to say, the year before last when DK Metcalf and them come in and took their shirts off and got whooped up in the wintertime. That's about when they started it, if I can remember correctly, and then they kind of did that all year. I don't think McDuffie would do horribly shadowing a number one every time, but McDuffie's one knock, in my opinion, is his size limitation. We've seen it in the preseason last year with the Saints when A.T. Perry, the rookie, come in there and just ate his lunch on a few plays, because if you throw a perfectly thrown ball, and people's going to argue, well, if a quarterback throws a perfectly thrown ball, anybody beats anybody. But when you don't have to be that perfect, you just got to throw it up a little higher. That's where Trent McDuffie can run into problems. So Trent McDuffie versus DK Metcalf, you might have a little more problems than maybe Trent McDuffie versus like Stephon Diggs. So I don't think they shadow him like that. I don't think they do that. And again, that's where your Josh Williams comes into play, because he can get up on a DK Metcalf like that.
Yeah, and really, man, it's just trust the Spags in the scheme. That's what you have to do. So I don't think you necessarily have to travel, because then it switches up everything that you do
right
defensively. Why do that, right? Why change up what has been working for you at this time? So look, these guys, all those guys are capable, no doubt about it. And so it's what I love about it. These guys are growing together. That's another thing. These guys all like to compete. These are all guys that are all friends, and they push for one another. So it ain't like one or two. It's the whole DB room. That's who you're going against. That's what it is. And so when you had that type of unity in that group, then that, I think, supersedes everything else that you have. It's all about chemistry with everybody else on the field. And so relationally, when you're talking about the safeties and the linebackers, everybody has a good rapport with everybody. And so more importantly, you trust Spag in the scheme to get those guys, to compete, to challenge the wide receivers that you see out there. It doesn't matter who you got. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about this DB room. Cook, they call themselves the Fab Five: Cook, Nazeeh, Watson, Williams, and Trent McDuffie. All of them came together, and all of them, they're all boys, and they all push each other to be the best they can be. So you got to love that camaraderie they have in the DB room from that draft class. Gotta love it.
Told you, man. You only know what you know, right? You get these guys as a clean slate. You can put in whatever you want to into these guys. Okay, you make these jokers believe that it doesn't matter. Like you said, size does matter, but never forget the heart. Amen, Lenny. 100%. Right? That's one thing you can't necessarily measure. Okay, is they're willing and want to. That's at heart. Exactly.
All right, so now we're going from wide receiver to DB to tight end. Or, of course, it's one of our favorite positions on the show. Obviously, it's JD's position. We got to talk about tight end.
Dogs.
Wait, JD was a tight end? I thought he was a corner.
Yeah, hey, shoot.
Look at him.
Wow.
He's locking it down.
Yeah, it's been a minute, Marcus.
I'm sure JD.
By the way, before Marcus brings this in, did you know the first Chiefs game I ever went to? Because we're from Kentucky, so I mean, our parents never took us to KC. We had to go watch the Bengals. So we were playing the Bengals, and it was Tony G, it was Dick Vermeil, it was that whole team. You were the first touchdown I watched live as a Chief, baby.
Oh,
it was you.
Right?
Yeah, everybody said TG's gonna get a touchdown today. And I said, nay, JD got it, and he did. And then I think they beat us, man, and I was so mad.
Yeah, that was.
It was that year that Chad Johnson was giving away free ice cream, man, and some little kid talked trash to me the whole way walking back to Kentucky across that bridge. I wanted to dump his little ass in the water, baby, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I remember that game. Yeah, I did the Harlem Shake and everything up there when I scored too.
It was beautiful.
I had a little shimmy, little shake in it. Yeah.
There you go, man. Yeah. So you're my first touchdown I watched in a Chiefs uniform. How about that?
Glad to know that, Mike. There we go. Good deal.
Special spot in the heart here.
Yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure you freaking spiked the hell out of that ball in the end zone too. Because that was when is that when Trent Green kind of rolled out and like threw it to you in like the back of the end zone?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I was in the end zone. I was right in the end zone. See, you spiked the ball so hard, I almost caught that bad boy. It almost got in the.
Yeah. Family up there, man. Look, I had to show up for my family. I had to.
There you go.
Yeah, man. I tried to throw that joker all the way to the other side of the world.
So going to the tight end room. So this is obviously no surprise who our tight end one is. I think everybody from here at Timbuktu knows who the tight end one is now with Taylor Swift. Now the whole world knows who our tight end one is. And the NFL's tight end one really. But the camp battle, the surprising part is number 2. Now this is a guy I thought And obviously, Chief fans have the guys they dislike. They also have guys that they want to crown as the heir apparent to Travis Kelce. So shortly after the draft, every Chiefs fan was like, "Oh, we found the next Kelce. It's this guy right here, Jared Wiley." And I'm gonna say JD and I were kind of hesitant to even say that he's the heir apparent to Travis Kelce because there's only one Travis Kelce. Because we thought, the number 2 tight end was Noah Gray. That's Noah Gray's job because I don't think he's done anything to take that job away from him. But right out the gate, we're already seeing Jared Wiley getting tight end 2 reps, which is kind of surprising to me because you got Noah Gray and you also brought in Irv Smith Jr., a guy who I thought was going to come in and actually compete for this number 2 tight end spot. But I haven't heard a word from Irv Smith. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen anything, reports about him, videos, nothing. I haven't seen anything of Irv Smith, so I'm very surprised about that as well. But it appears that the 4th round pick, Jared Wiley, is legit. And he's getting the tight end 2 reps, splitting time with Noah Gray, it appears. But I think for me, that's probably the biggest surprise so far in camp is Jared Wiley getting the number 2 reps right out the gate. And I want to ask you guys, are you all shocked by the developments of Jared Wiley getting the tight end 2 reps behind Travis Kelce so early on in training camp?
No, not at all. And I told you this. I don't believe we could say it's the number 2 snaps. My thing is, I think it's more so like formationally wise, plays you're going to have him in. That he's going to be a matchup. I think it's more particular than that. I don't think it's necessarily just a number 2. I think it's really what they want to do offensively. Okay. And so when nagging those guys and sitting there saying, this is the matchup we want on this play. Jared, you need to get in for this play, this particular play. If it was a run play, I'm going to say Jared would be the number 2 tight end. So I think it all depends on situationally what you're looking for. He's going to be a bigger guy. 6'6", going to be able to stretch the field. He's got great hands. He's got great athletic ability. I think it's more so like the offense. They're just playing. They want to see what's going on. So, look, Noah Gray, we understand, man, is a solid tight end as you could possibly get, okay? He's done everything he could possibly do to earn that spot, almost like a number 2. It's almost like we were talking about the corners being, who's the number 2 guy, right? When you have at least 3 tight ends, maybe 4. We haven't seen anything from Irv, like you said, that could come in and play and still make plays, right? Noah Gray runs good routes. Jared Wiley just brings a different element to the game that we hadn't seen since Jody Fortson. And so that's a good thing about it, right? You bring him in for the matchups. So when we get into talking about number 1, number 2, the only thing we can talk about right now, number 1, that's Travis Kelce, okay? Everybody else falls in place after that, man. That's the way it works. So I like to have 12 personnel, 13 personnel, even 14 personnel. We hear something from Irv, right? In fact, that's the problem. So I think they could definitely see, I think in the future, what you can do philosophically wise, offensively. So that's what I look at. I don't necessarily say I'm shocked at those things. Jared Wiley, we understood, was a baller when he came out of TCU. This ain't shocking at all.
No, I agree. I think Noah Gray last year could have had a better season than he did. There was a few things that kind of went into that, but I think the Chiefs flourish when Andy's being able to go to the 12 personnel, 13 personnel, and just chalk it up. And as soon as we drafted Wiley, I looked at Steve, and Steve didn't like the pick. He didn't love the pick. He didn't really understand the pick, I don't think. We were kind of under the impression that they were looking at tight ends, right? Because if you go back to the draft and you remember, we had met with Ben Sinnott. We had met with Jatavion Sanders. We had talked to Theo Johnson. We had talked to Eric All. Yep. We had talked to everybody down the board, it seemed. And then the one guy they hadn't, lo and behold, Jared Wiley. And there he came. And I think that was just them holding that close to the vest. But I had him rated as one of my top 6, 7 tight ends. He would have probably been higher on my board if he had more than one productive season. But he just really didn't get a shot until that last year there in TCU. But he's got everything. He's got the side speed combo. He can jump to the moon. He's got pretty good build-up speed. I like Jared Wiley, and as soon as he was drafted, I said that is what they wanted Jody Fortson to be. And I don't want to say his cap's Jody Fortson. I think he could be more than Jody Fortson. Now, could he have a great career? It's very possible. I'm not going to tell anybody they got to come in and be the stigma of one of the best tight ends to ever play, Travis Kelce. I think that right there, when people were saying baby Kelce to me, I was like, you're putting some crazy responsibility on this dude's shoulders. He hasn't played a snap. And again, he still hasn't put his pads on. And if you want to talk about a knock on Jared Wiley, he can't block worth a flip on the run game half the time. He was getting his lunch eat up a little bit. I think PFF had rated him like a 48. Now, I will say PFF, it is hard to get a high run score from PFF out of their own mouths. It's pretty hard. I think Cade Stover will almost beat one of their asses one time when they said he couldn't block. But, I think he offers something, like you said, that it's a matchup nightmare. Because he can run, he's got the speed, he's got the twitch, he can jump. We've seen it today. One-hand catch. They've hit him up the sideline twice now on one of those little, almost like a wheel route or something. It looks like. It's hard to see because we got these odd angles coming out of the cell phones. But there's these wild routes where they're getting him out on the corner. He's going up the seam one-on-one. He's getting a matchup, and he's going and getting it. And Mahomes is not afraid to throw it to him. Why would you be? Just turn around and close your eyes and flip it. And I think he's got a good shot to grab it. I think Jared Wiley is going to be good. Will he come in and immediately take over Noah Gray's snaps? I don't think so. I think this is a product of camp and just wanting to see what they have. So I don't think there's any indication right now. You know, everybody's saying, well, Wanye's taking left tackle snaps and Kingsley's not. And I think at this point, they're just wanting to see everybody. Everybody, a little bit of everywhere, see what they got. They'll put the pads on. Wiley's going to be fine, but I think Noah Gray's still going to have a good season. Now, will this impact Noah Gray's contract he's got coming up after this year? That is a possibility if Wiley balls out and they're like, hey, this might be tied in one of the future here. So I think that could be an effect on him, but I think Noah Gray will be fine this year. And I like our tight end room, and I honestly think Irv, if they take 4, I'm fine with it. But I felt like Irv was a signing that was a safety signing in case they couldn't get their tight end in the draft. That's what I felt. And now that they've got him, because I think that's who they wanted, Irv could be a camp casualty if they was to cut him and maybe take the fullback. Crocky J, one of those guys. I don't know. Maybe they don't take the 4 tight ends. But maybe they do take the 4 tight ends. Who knows? With this new kickoff rule, I think that's causing a lot of weirdness with, how many linebackers they take, how many corners, how many tight ends, this and that. I think you got to play a little bit of special teams now. I don't know if Irv does that. I have no idea.
Well, you had to say the same thing about Jared Wiley, too. He's going to have to play some special teams. And so that means going down, making some tackles, covering, all those different things, getting off blocks. All those things are important, okay? You just can't become a number 2 tight end and not have anything to do out there, especially on special teams-wise, especially when you're trying to make the roster, which we know he's going to make the roster. But look, everything you said, Mike, I agree with. He's going to be, maybe in the run game, not the strongest to do. So can you line him up in the backfield and go let him smack a linebacker? I don't think that's going to be a forte. They didn't get him here to do that. More importantly, I know you said like Jody Forson, what we was thinking he was going to be. Can you imagine if Jody just stayed healthy? The things he would do. So I think Jody is without a doubt a more polished route runner, receiver than Jared Wiley. But he's away. Jared Wiley is a tight end, and he's going to get better. He's going to learn a lot from Travis Kelce. A lot of it, like you said, is about rapport. Okay, so I lined up to how everything works during the off season. So coaches get in and they start putting packages together. Okay, for different guys, and I think the same thing you said about Irv, what they were thinking about doing with him. So they finally, start looking at guys that want to get into the draft. Jared Wiley is one of those guys. They start putting packages together. Okay, different plays, and they start saying, "Look, this guy right here has a large frame. It got, really long. There's some things he can do. We talked about what he can do in the red zone. He's going to be that matchup nightmare. Why not utilize it right now?" And so what you start doing is you start making a little bit of adjustments during training camp. Okay, because you got most of your stuff in already. I'm just telling you, offensively, they're throwing so much information at guys because this is what the offense is going to be. But when you're sitting there talking about Nagy and then you're talking about with Andy, what they're doing, they are putting together a system that's going to exploit a guy's skill set. Jared Wiley is no exception to that rule, what they have. And I think right now, like you said, Mike, they're just going to try it all out. And they're telling Patrick, hey, throw it to Jared on this. I guarantee they bring in a meeting. They say, look for Jared on this particular play.
Yep.
What is going to be the teller? When you strap these things up, baby, just look. Hey, it's a different thing from TCU. And I always say this all the time. Hey, you ain't messing with a guy, okay, that's taking a data analysis as your major, okay? This is a guy out here who's ready to tear your head off, okay? Can you swing and swim in the NFL? That's a whole different type of animal that we got to find out about Jared Wiley. And so it's good to find out what he's doing right now without the pads on. The pass come on, we'll start talking a little bit more about what it is that he can actually do. But we know he has ability. That's the reason we brought him in. He's a 4th-round pick for a reason. So I think we got a lot here with Jared Wiley. Like you said, Mike, it was unfair to try to sit there and say, well, he's going to be the heir apparent to Travis Kelce. What? Wait a minute. How about him just being Jared Wiley first? Okay? How about him just getting the shoes on, laced up, and going out there and just running routes and catching passes to begin with before we start putting out that type of pressure on this guy? So I think we just, we'll wait and see. But I love right now that we do have this matchup against safeties, linebackers that he can win with. So we'll just have to see, man. But I do know that those guys have put a package together with Jared Wiley in mind, and they're going to make sure they utilize it during camp. So,
yep,
so what do you? So Irv Smith, like I mentioned, there's really hasn't been much on him at all.
Yeah.
And obviously, and I do see what Mike's point is. It was kind of a safety signing. If they didn't get the tight end they wanted in the draft, they always lean back to Irv Smith, who, when he came out of college, he was an athletic freak. He was an athletic specimen. The injuries kind of hindered his career a little bit, and I was hopeful for him. But you think now with Wiley coming in and looking the part so far, at least, if that does make Irv Smith a little bit expendable when it comes to a cap casualty?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I told you, it ain't no guarantees, man. There's no guarantees, especially in camp. You bring bodies in for a reason, right? Because there is injuries, things do happen. And so when you're sitting there thinking like, okay, who's going to be on the last bit of the roster, they'll keep a guy around to say, is he going to make it or is he not going to make it? And so this is where special teams is vitally important, okay? What a guy can do and what he can play. If Irv gives a little bit to, let's just say, being in the backfield, okay? Let's take out Carson Steele. Maybe they haven't found a guy that can do the blocking from the inside that they want, right? That Noah Gray has been doing from the inside of the line. Those things guys still got to figure out. These guys going to battle those things for them to make a decision. You just got to force the guys, the coach's hand to say, do we get rid of a guy or do we keep him? So it still remains to be seen, man. I don't like it because we haven't seen anything from Irv at all. And I asked you earlier, I said, has anybody got any film, any catches, anything on Irv?
Dude, I haven't even seen him standing on the sideline.
Yeah, is he still here? Did he quit? Yeah.
He's playing Madden too.
He's playing the new college football game.
Yeah. But the reason I think that they brought him in as a safety signing, because people didn't like that I said that. I've said that before, and people didn't like that. They were like, well, why do you come to that conclusion? The only reason I did come to that conclusion was I think the Chiefs done their due diligence on tight ends, and I think they had their top 4 to 5 that they were really comfortable with taking early, right? And we learned that Jaden Hicks was a best player available situation. And they could have taken Jaden Hicks before they took Wiley, but they took Wiley. So I still think that, and by the way, Hicks was rated higher on my board than Wiley. So to take him above him and still come back to Hicks, I believe they targeted him for a specific reason. And they got rid of Belldozer in the offseason, and Belldozer was not a pass-catching guy. He's a run blocker. He's the 12, 13 personnel guy that's going to get out there and run it on goal line situations. Irv Smith's not that. Irv Smith has always been a pass-catching threat all the way back to Alabama, but never a run block guy. So I don't think it was a one-for-one Blake Bell transfer there. I think they were trying to get a pass-catching guy, and now that they got it, and by the way, Jared Wiley's a lot bigger. I think he's 260 compared to Irv Smith's 240, and he's like 6'7" to 6'2", somewhere in that range. So Irv Smith almost feels like more of an H-back kind of guy, kind of like a Noah Gray in a way. But I think at the end of the day, he's the outside looking in, poor Irv is. I think they're just going to take maybe 3 this year. Now, they could surprise me and go 4, but I think Andy's leaning back to maybe getting to that extra fullback. I really do. I think Carson Steele's got a decent shot to make the team, in my opinion.
I do too, just because of that reason, right? And that, like I said, sometimes those positions may become redundant. So do you keep a guy like Carson Steele in there and get rid of Irv Smith? And the thing is, if you're trying to at least give Travis Kelce a break, okay, in the passing game, right? Give him a breather. Well, you bring in Jared Wiley, okay, and Noah Gray, so they can run the 2 tight end sets from that point. Because you just don't want to wear him out. There's no need to. So find out what Jared Wiley can do right now, and if he can do it well, if he's learned a whole lot from Travis Kelce, be a sponge, okay? Give something. If you have a modicum of what Travis Kelce has, okay, we'll be able to win with that, all right? We'll be able to win with that. And so he's shown that he can go up there and he can go get it. He can catch the football. Now when the pass come on, we can get a better, at least measure about who it is that we actually drafted. So
Fridays when the shells come on, so that's when the real football begins. No more of this patty cake stuff.
Hey, we also know if they get in a pinch, like you have some injuries and they get rid of Irv, you say, and he goes somewhere else. They picked up Isaiah Gathings. They seem to like him a little bit. Like he could always come in and be that serviceable 4 guy. I mean, if they got to, give JD a call. He'll come back. I'll co-sign for you.
Hey, listen, I always say it, man. I still got these meat hooks in me. I don't have to move a whole lot, man. But one thing I can do, I can hold you to death.
There you go. Hold and fall and just get in the pile, baby.
That's it.
Can't call it if they can't see it.
With the way these guys block nowadays, JD, you'd still probably the best run blocking, pass blocking tight end now. If you went back now.
You go Pro Bowl
easily.
So, man, look, we got to talk about it. If we look at a short yardage and guys come in and stick their nose in, hit guys in the mouth, shoot, is he a liability in the run game? Because you ain't getting your butt handed to you, getting tossed around. You can't be in there. You can't. I can't see a defensive end in the backfield hit Pacheco trying to get a yard or half a yard or CEH or whoever it might be. You can't be that guy. So I know he has a will and a want to. I know he has a passion. He has that little bit of like that nastiness to him, which I like. So I cannot wait till Friday comes on. These pads are going to be popping, man. I cannot wait to see it. So,
totally different game when those pads come on, baby. It's
oh
not even close. If you haven't played it, you don't understand it, but it's different.
Look, I said, man, you should be able to catch pretty passes. If you in shells, you better catch a pass with one hand.
Catch it.
Yeah, come on now. Shoot.
Ain't got to worry about nobody hitting you. What are you doing? Look the ball in. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, we thought that until what's the name got hit today.
Karlaftis laid out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Hey, that was funny. Did you happen to see the Nick Bolton one though, where he just decked Rashee Rice over in the corner? I'll send you guys I'll send it to Marcus. There's one that I found, and they're running a route, and Rashee Rice comes off of him, and Nick Bolton just lays him out, just sends him flying out of the camera frame, dude. They were chippy today.
Yeah.
It's only going to get worse on Friday.
Yeah. I bet nobody came to challenge Nick Bolton, though, did they?
Oh, hell no. I wouldn't. I'd be like, Nick, here's my lunch money. You need anything else? You need back rub? I got you.
Everybody sitting on the side like, come on, Nick. You know you shouldn't be doing that.
No, hit stick Nick. You don't mess with hit stick Nick, baby.
Right. Galapagos, they run up on like, hey, man, what are you doing?
Right.
Run up on Nick and see what happens. Yeah.
Bold like Debo and Friday. You want some of this too, old man? No.
Yeah.
Karlaftis is a big boy. I don't think I'd run up on him either.
He's a big boy. He's
kind of like that Midwestern country boy strong, right? He ain't got the muscles, but he eats a lot of cornbread, I could think. Maybe.
Well, you could tell he just kind of brushed it off like, I don't care about it.
Oh, yeah.
No, go ahead. Go away.
The funny part was Kadarius Toney chucking the ball at his head.
Yeah. Now,
but they both handled it and just went on. I mean, it could have been worse, but.
Yeah, I think Nick Bolton would look somebody in the eye and said, the next time you come over this middle, you better have your mouthpiece in.
Hey, they're tired of pass camp. They've been doing this crap for 6 weeks. It's time to hit somebody. Grow up. Let's play football.
Yeah, hopefully this day off will give them a little cool down before the real fight begins on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
So we got the final topic here. We've had a lot of comments from our friends over across the pond. Kind of concerned about LRZ over the last few days, not seeing much on him. Since the veterans have been there, we haven't really heard much of LRZ, other than there was a video that surfaced online of LRZ doing some pass protection after practice this week. And LRZ, we talked about it too, JD, that in order for LRZ to make the team, he's got to work on things like pass protection, and that's something that he mentioned himself last week. Special teams, pass protection, and route running are his keys to making the team. That's what he said. But so far, week one of the LRZ experiment, are you guys kind of concerned he's being kind of lost in the fold here? Is the LRZ kind of hype going down a little bit with him? We're not really seeing much of him. We're not hearing much about him anymore with the vets there. The guys are actually who played football before. They're actually there and they're actually making some noise. Not really hearing much from LRZ anymore. And I want to show the video of LRZ doing some pass protection after practice the other day. So it's after practice, LRZ working on his pass pro, which good stuff here. JD, what do you think about that form there? What are you seeing about that?
He's leaning a little.
Ain't too bad.
Yeah, it's not horrible.
Yeah, just, you got to get off that toe a little bit. But,
that's what I'm saying. He's on his toe a little bit too much. He's leaning a little bit.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad.
It's
Thing
okay.
is, he has balance, because if a guy's swimming him and get around him, that may be, but we'll find out. Like in hitting the pad, man, it's good. But he's athletic.
I don't know many linebackers coming at him that's going to stop and let him punch like that either. He's going to get in on his body pretty quick.
Oh, okay, hold on, yeah.
He said, "Hold up, let me get this form going."
Yeah. When you get some swims or rips to you, it's a whole different animal.
Big time. So with we've had a lot of questions from our fans, the Welsh fans, and all the other rugby fans. They're kind of concerned that they haven't really seen much or heard much about LRZ in the last few days. Should the big time LRZ fans be concerned about this, about him being kind of lost in the fold here?
No, I don't think so. And look, we understand it was going to be a development type of deal. Okay, it's going to take us some time. Guys that's been playing the sports for years, their entire lives, just understand more than he does. Okay, and it's going to take him some time. He'll get there. You just have to give it the time and be patient. Okay, and they're going to be patient with it. And look, I guarantee all the coaches, all the players are helping him out. And I'm sure everybody loves him. I'm sure everybody loves, he comes in, he's very chipper. Okay, he has a great disposition about himself. He wants to get this thing done. This, to me, is no indication as far as like where it's going to end up. I'm still thinking he may be practice squad material. If he makes the team, he's going to have to do something extremely well to be somebody else on the spot. Okay. And we knew this. We knew it was going to be one of those things that it's going to be a developmental type of deal with LRZ. My thing is this, okay, and I'll let Mike take it over after. If he learns from the running back position, because we talked about Jared McKinnon, what he was able to do, okay, if LRZ can translate that to learning how to do that, maybe on pass protection, being a running back, right, which position he's going to play, does that bring some value up? Yeah. Does it mean he's just going to didactically learn something overnight? Maybe not. But if he has something down, we know he's going to be physical. Because rugby be physical. So if I'm telling the coach, like, you make sure this guy just doesn't get around you. When you get into linebackers, running back drills on pass protection, we're going to find a whole lot out, okay? Without the line and then just one-on-one with each other, okay? That's where the tale's going to be told. So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I don't think they should be. You hit the nail on the head. I don't think they should be like freaked out because he's not getting there. Look, LRZ out of his own mouth said, "Hey, I'm behind." Like he said, a successful season for him is to learn the playbook and make the team. That is the way he's doing. Like we did a poll the other day on All Chiefed Up, and I asked if you assume Pacheco's the one, obviously, and then Clyde is that third down back. Like if they're going to experiment with Jarrett McKinnon, who would you think RB2 like to spell Pacheco would be? And I had Deneric Prince, Amani Bailey, the UDFA, Keontae Ingram, and LRZ. LRZ won in a landslide. So I think Chiefs Kingdom is kind of just needs to step back just a little bit. I would love to see it, but let's be honest. He's a time traveler. The dude, he fought in World War II. Like, look at that guy. Like, he's just, look at those teeth, baby. I don't even know about him. He's a good kid. Like, I like him. I'm rooting hard for him. But again, success for him is going to just be making this team. I think you can just about throw anything outside of special teams, probably throw it out the window. Now, you may see it right off the rip in the preseason. Why not? Get some looks at him. Let him get hit a few times. See what he can do. And I do think he's equipped to tackle. He's equipped to handle, tackles and take hits. I get it. That's a tough sport. I wouldn't want to play rugby. Daggone. I had rugby on PlayStation, and after I played it, I hurt after just playing on PlayStation. So I don't want it. I don't want to play it. So, yeah, I think he's going to be fine, but I think everybody just needs to temper the expectations a little bit. The one guy that I'm kind of curious is I think Keontae Ingram right now is just running primarily with the 2s and 3s, but we've heard that Deneric Prince is actually getting some run with the 1s. And so I think it's Deneric Prince's job to lose here, and I'd love to see Prince come on because I thought he was a special kind of guy last year, and it just never really translated. Even in the preseason, it didn't look as good as it could have. Amani Bailey, he's got that little size, that little prototype crap we like to do, back there, that little bowling ball look, but I don't know about it. I don't know if they'll take him either. I really do believe Deneric Prince could be that second guy. And will they sprinkle in LRZ or something? I don't know. But, yeah, I don't think anybody should be that crazy. Like you said, once the guys got here that's played the game, he's going to take a back seat a little bit. And he's going to get his shots. And we're going to see him. Like, don't get me wrong, we're going to see him. But I think once you see him a few times on the field, the speed of the game is going to be one thing that you cannot prepare him for.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And look, this is something that's an experiment. It's fun. You're trying to build a bridge, right? To make some crossovers until this world. And I'm all here for it. I am. But you're saying, Mike, that the people that the fans don't make a decision who's going to be out there on the field? They're going to have a run back too? Okay. Well, we'll just have to find out. Look.
Maybe it's Kadarius Toney running back too.
Hey.
Well, that begs the question: does Kadarius moving more towards a running back role? Does that also kind of push everyone down a little bit in the running back room?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's just look. These parts are interchangeable. Like I said, it's what our offense is because you can do a lot of different things: jet sweeps, reverses, put a guy in the backfield. That's just formationally wise what we do. That's the philosophy of this offense. But LRZ, if he can show that. Obviously he could do some good blocking. If he can move his feet, like I said, he's going to be a physical guy. I'm looking more practice squad, really. I think Deneric Prince is the number 3 guy. Okay, the running back is going to be Pacheco, CEH, and Deneric Prince. I think that's going to be the 3. And if you had to sprinkle in, like we were saying before, if you don't have Irv and it has to be Carson Steele, a guy that's going to play strictly special teams. That's the way it's going to be. So it's going to be tough, man. I think Deneric Prince just didn't get that chance because you had 3 guys that was just better than him last year. Okay, 3 solid guys, and so he was young, he was learning everything. I think he's got the offense down now. That's what you want to look at. You want to look at his progress at this moment. But look, man, LRZ, it's going to be fun to watch. Love to see it. It's going to be special to see how he does in all of these drills. So let me put it that way when these pads and stuff come out. Because I want to see him light somebody up, to be honest with you. That's what I want to see. So we've been talking about this challenge with rugby and football players. He's got a lot on his shoulders, baby, to show what he can do for rugby. So
hey, I got a question for you. The International Pathway Program, right?
Yeah.
The IPP, they designated Chu Godric the tackle, correct? So his roster spot is not guaranteed. His practice squad spot is not guaranteed, right? That's how that works. But if Chu was to make the 53, say they get rid of Lucas Niang and Chu was to make the 53, can you now designate that IPP spot back to Louis Rees-Zammit? Because if that's the case, I would rather see Chu make the team and let Lucas Niang get out of town. I'm not a big Lucas guy.
Lucas, man, look, he's been running. Shoot,
he has.
In twos, man. Lucas been looking good supposedly so far. I don't know the rules of that.
Yeah, I don't either.
If you get rid of it, then I would think that you would supplement somebody, right? I mean, then all of a sudden it's like, what's the point of having this?
Hey, I'm always trying to think outside the box. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
No, I hear you, brother. I hear you. So.
Yeah, can you actually send me that question, Mike? Because I've been talking to the main head of the International Pathway Program, trying to get LRZ on the show, but he said, yeah, you have to contact Rock Nation, and they're kind of a disaster to talk to because you have to go through so many different levels with the Rock Nation, Jay-Z's agency. But
right.
Yeah, send me that question. I'll ask.
I was trying to get some of his energy drink he started with him and his brother.
I didn't even know he started.
Yeah, they started some kind of an energy drink thing. Like I'm always drinking Prime. I wrote LRZ. I was like, bro, you want me to drink your drink? Send it on out.
So you say LRZ was with Rock Nation?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Wow.
Big time.
Oh, yeah. They saw those jersey sales. They got in on that real fast.
I hear you. I ain't sure nothing wrong with it.
But one thing with LRC that does kind of bode well, which we've talked about, special teams being his key, because he could be this kind of Swiss Army knife on special teams. Andy did say this week that 3 or 4 guys are making the team because of their special teams play. And while there hasn't been that many flashy plays for LRZ, one thing that was interesting was he's obviously returning punts and kicks. He's in the long line of guys who are doing that. Also, which I just read today, he was seen punting, which obviously we know he can do that stuff from a lot of those rugby skills do cross over, but he was seen punting the ball on top of, returning the ball. I mean, that's something that he does add, that kind of arsenal in his bag, that he has that in his bag. That not a lot of other guys can do those things. So yeah, there's maybe a lot of things he cannot do or not do well yet, because the game's new to him. But there are some things he can do that other guys can't, because not a lot of other guys can go ahead and kick a ball, do kickoffs, or punt the ball to the extent that he can. So I think that is something that he does that can add to his bag as far as being our special teams utility guy.
Could you imagine like having him out as the punter and running a fake with him if he's effective on doing it? I'm just thinking right now as a special teams coach, I would do it just to throw a wrinkle in what you're doing. Throw people off, right? So we know he can run the football, so that's got to be a threat. So there's a lot of different things you could create from that. But yeah, that creates value, no doubt about it, Marcus. That does create value. Same thing when we talked about Reed is out with his quad, so LRZ's got to be the kicker, possibly on special teams instead of having Buckner going down and making a tackle.
Yeah.
So those are things that's there, man. We just had to see.
I was just thinking that if Justin Reed, they're saying he may miss games into the season. That could be false, but if that was your plan, LRZ can kick off apparently. So maybe maybe he finds a spot because of it. Who knows? At least until maybe you get Justin Reed back on the roster, then he can go back to the practice squad or whatever they want to do. They know how to work that bad boy better than I do. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Like, I think the special teams ability is where he's going to make or break. And I've never thought about the punter thing. I actually had the thought of they should teach him how to hold the ball, and then you could run out of that with the rugby tosses. Maybe get a Bucker running around the corner. We'll just toss him one, see what he's got.
Uh-huh. We hear guys all the time have the rugby kick as kickers.
Yeah.
And so when you do the rollout and you kick, so you act like you roll out, then take off, and then you could do the little,
Oh yeah, they do that all the time. The punters, they roll and kick and
yeah. So hey man, there's an element there.
You can also, this is something too, have him back there with the Rees as the personal protector. Have you ever seen a personal protector put the ball before? If they like snapped it to the personal protector and, instead of maybe usually those guys that do runs, instead of running the ball, will fake run or punt or the opposite. You can do so many things with him that you've never seen before.
Yeah. It's a short kick from that distance, of course, but not the, the up back. No, never seen him kick the ball. But look, you could get creative with a guy like this. Okay, you can get creative with a guy like this. So,
hey, we've seen the up back take the ball, so I mean that's a possibility.
Yeah,
it's kind of fascinating, to be honest. It's fun. Like when they first did it, I thought it was a little gimmicky. I thought it was because the NFL was trying to push out internationally. He had the hyphenated last name. We know how Brett Veach loves that hyphenated last name. He's horned up for the hyphenated. Brett Veach hates nobody in life worse than the person that does the back of the uniforms names. He's like, how many letters in the back last name? He's like 76. You're on. Let's go.
Look, LRZ is used to a natural scrum too. So we're talking about the push and all those different things, man. There's so much there. Like you could just add to this. You really can. So we'll just have to see, man. We'll have to see. I think Andy and them guys are going to have some fun to it. I think they will. And so we'll just have to wait and see, man. We'll just have to wait and see. But
the opportunities are endless with this LRZ experiment. So all our friends and subscribers across the pond, don't worry. Just because you haven't seen that many highlights of LRZ since the veterans have been there, just relax. There's plenty of time in this whole thing. So relax.
What the bloody hell's going on?
He said, "Where's Lewis?"
That brings us to the end of our show. Mike, You're fantastic, man. We love all Chief Dub.
Thanks, man.
We're
Yes,
all Chief
sir.
Dub. ACU and CC are just like this, man. We're boys, man. Content creators in the Chiefs Kingdom. We're boys. Tell everybody in the chat where if they don't know all Chief Dub, which they should, let them know where they can find you and your brother.
Right. So if you don't know, either you hate us, and that's why we haven't seen you, or you just been under a rock, maybe. I don't know. Maybe your internet's bad. You don't get on YouTube a lot. But all Chiefed Up on all platforms. We're trying to build some other platforms as well. We're trying to branch out into TikTok game before Congress bans it. We're trying to step up IG and all these other places. We're just trying to build the biggest community we can get. So find us on those things, man. We do Chiefs content all the time. We do way too much Chiefs content. Let's just be honest. I'd like to have a vacation, but I'm never getting it. This is a 24/7 gig, and you guys know about that. So, yeah, man, if you've been over there and you've watched us before and you hated it, give us another shot. And if you haven't, give us a shot in the first place. But I see a lot of the guys in the chat's been here, man. Chiefer, Gary Holland, Kathy, so many people in the chat has been over and supporting. So it's good to see everybody supporting all the other Chiefs channels as well. We try to explain that. We're like, this time of the year, Chiefs are hot, man. So you're going to have tons of aggregate. You're going to have fakes, all these things popping up. There's a new Chief channel popping up every 5 minutes out here. We're dodging them like Trump. I don't even know if I can say it on air, but that's what's happening. And so support the OGs, because it's us that does it, and everybody else is just trying to farm clicks. So help your boys out.
Well, look, man, y'all do a good job over there anyway, and I appreciate you for coming on the show today, Mike, really, because I come and check you dudes out, man, and I love, your content. Guys, if y'all haven't checked him out, definitely go over and go see what they got to say. Really funny, really good stuff, some good depth. Like you said, he brings out a lot of you bring a lot of the numbers out, okay? I'm a guy that, I talk behind the scenes and pulling the, those things, putting them together. And so, but it's a wonderful thing, man, that you do, definitely. And great collaboration, no doubt. And I think we need to do more of those things, with these people that's out here,
For sure.
Sure. There's a lot in the kingdom. But as far as like everybody who came out to come see it, man, appreciate it. Randy, Gary, Kathy, Melly Matrix, Brenda, G-Pick, Lacey Snake, Chief 65, Gary Highland, Wendy, Andre Chenault, Harama Biff, Traveling Guy, G-Pick, Slippy Face, Neff, Perfection 2K. Look, we always say this, Mike, man, we love our following, love everybody who comes on here. Everybody we see on our chat, man, is a family. We're family members. We love each and every one of them guys, man. We love you, dude. You and your brother, because y'all do that, man. You got to come down here. Come get some of this done barbecue, brother. Okay, you right down the road. There's no reason we can't get together. Okay,
we're coming. I'm gonna when my brother has a weekend off, we're gonna drive over. I'm gonna hit you up. We're gonna go eat some barbecue. And also, I want to shout out before I go, because I appreciate you guys having me. Shout out John Clifford for the 5 bomb and Kyle Williams for the 20 bomb, man. Supporting Chief Concerns, supporting these guys. I appreciate you guys coming over. Those guys come to our chats all the time, man. We love these guys. I think it's fun having the community spread and just building it, man. And we're all going to get there. We're going to get to where we're going, and we're going to 5 Pete.
There you go.
We're calling it now. 5 Pete.
Yeah. And like what JD and I always say is, there's certain channels, and you and I talked about this, Mike, before, but that there's certain channels out there who think that there should only be one Chiefs show and that's it. But when we talk about, we're a community. It's a content creation community, and we all try to support each other in the best way that we can, being in each other's shows, propping up their tweets. And there's certain people, Mike, a lot of people won't retweet other accounts just because they think they're competition. That's not the way we see things, and I know that you guys share the same views on that stuff. So,
yeah, a lot of people feel there's competition. There may be. I don't feel that way. I don't think you guys feel that way. Like, we get along with anybody, but it does sometimes in the Chief content creator world. A lot on X. Dude, if you're not at the Cool Kids Club, you ain't eating lunch. Like, that's just the way it is, and it's weird, and they will avoid you like the plague, but they like to steal my ideas, man. I'm going to give them that. They like to take them ideas. But, yeah, man, I appreciate you guys having me, man. It's always a fun time. Maybe someday I'll get back if you guys will have me. And, Jason, I'm going to come eat that barbecue, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Give me a shout sometime, brother. Okay?
For sure, man.
All
right, everybody. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll see you guys on Monday for Monday Morning Tight End. I hope everyone has a great weekend. JD?
Special shout to Keisha Brown for coming out. Nazeeh's mom saying what's up to us. Lego My Ego. Harambe Beth, Ray, Lego, everybody out here. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Marcus. I'll let you finish it up.
No, I was saying, send us away.
Well, look, man, look, you know how we feel about you all. Chief concerns, all right, all chiefed up. This collaboration, man, couldn't have got better at this time. Appreciate and love you. Y'all take care. Have a wonderful weekend. We're going to be coming back with some good content, talking about the Chiefs. We're going to see on Friday when those pads start popping like fish grease, baby. That's what it's going to be on Friday. So stay tuned. God bless. Y'all take care. We'll see y'all later.
Have a good night, everybody.
Go Chiefs.
Take it easy, Mike.
See you guys.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.